Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Phillips H. Lord's Gangbusters. This episode going back to October 25th, 1947, the third part of a three-part series on the criminal career of Bugs Moran.
Now, Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case histories.
My name is Ernest Gaither Jr. I'm here in the Cook County Jail with only 29 hours to live before I go to the elected chair.
Listen later to the rest of this amazing statement of a murderer who died in the electric chair only a few hours ago. A statement recorded inside the death cell especially for Gangbusters.
And now to Gangbusters and facts that show the operation of our law enforcement officials in their war against the underworld. Gangbusters has again asked the Honorable Matthias H. Heck, prosecuting attorney, Dayton, Ohio, to narrate by proxy tonight's case.
The inside facts in the case of the notorious Bugs Moran.
Mr. Heck, we know how George Bugs Moran, who for years was Al Capone's only serious rival in the Chicago underworld, finally was sentenced to a term in prison, the first he had served in 20 years, despite numerous crimes accredited to him.
And it was a comparatively short sentence, Don Gardner. Moran was soon out of prison. To all appearances, he was making an effort to go straight. He set himself up as a speculator in oil leases and was operating in the southern Illinois and Indiana boom country. One day, about a year ago, Moran and an associate were seated in the rectory of a church at Vandalia, Illinois, waiting to keep an appointment with the pastor.
Give me a cigarette, Moran.
You don't have to smoke in here.
Well, I don't see no signs.
You don't see no... You don't have to smoke. Just sit there and don't say nothing when he comes in.
Who wants to say something?
Don't open your yap and everything. Okay, here he is. Now get up, get up. Get up, I said. Hello, Reverend.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Nice to see you again, Reverend.
Yes?
Oh, this is my associate, Mr. Virgil Summers.
How you do, Reverend?
Virgil is a name with a heritage.
Everybody calls me Doc.
Sit down.
Thanks.
Well, Reverend, did you talk over our proposition with the elders?
I did, Mr. Moran.
And?
The matter was left undecided until I brought them the answers to a few more questions.
Well, anything they want to know, Reverend. The church has got that 40 acres of land out there that has a good chance of having oil under it. Now, if we bring in oil, why, every Sunday, instead of members of the congregation putting into the contribution box, they'll have to take out just so as you can get rid of the money. That's how rich the church will be.
I doubt, Mr. Moran, that such an extreme measure would be necessary.
Well, I can't for the life of me see what you're hesitating for. Can you, Mr. Summers?
I cannot, Mr.
Well, as
Moran.
you know, gentlemen, the first consideration is whether under the terms of the late Mr. Baker's will, we can use the property for this purpose. Mr. Baker bequeathed it to us as a cemetery, you know.
No, Reverend,
However, the elders agree that we may be able to obtain a liberal interpretation of Mr. Baker's generous will.
Now we're getting someplace.
But there is one other consideration, Mr. Moran.
Anything, Reverend, anything at all.
It has come to our attention that you are also the notorious Bugs Moran of Chicago.
The name is George Moran. It never was Bugs Moran.
But you are from Chicago.
Well, what difference does it make where I come from or what I was? I'm here with a legitimate business proposition, and that ought to be enough.
I'm afraid, Mr. Moran, the elders would prefer to deal with someone longer established in the oil business.
Come on, Doc. Let's go.
Wait a minute, Moran. Maybe the Reverend wants another kind of business.
Come on.
Okay, I'm coming.
Good day, gentlemen.
So long, Reverend. I'll see you in church.
dealing with preachers and widows and banks.
And what's the matter with banks, Doc?
Nothing at all, Moran, if we do business with them in the right way. But this oil lease pitch is a waste of time and a waste of money.
Don't tell me what's a waste of money, Doc. As long as we're in the oil lease business, we got a legitimate pursuit. There's nobody can say nothing to us for being around.
Okay, but can't you pick a legitimate pursuit we can make go at instead of throwing it away?
Who knows, Doc? Maybe oil will turn up onto some of that land we got under lease.
Yeah, maybe someday cops will shoot dollar bills out of their guns instead of bullets, but I ain't waiting around to find out. Angie says...
Oh, Angie. Who cares what Angie says?
I care what she says. And you ought to, too. She comes in pretty handy when a job needs a lady's touch.
Now, let me tell you something, Doc. Keep Angie and the rest of your homework out of my hair. If you want to string along with me, we'll make a buck. Otherwise, goodbye.
Now, wait a minute, boss. I was just talking.
Now, talk to yourself or Angie. When it comes to business, just listen.
Okay. Don't get excited.
Stick here. I'm going to put in a long-distance call to Dayton.
Well?
Yeah.
Now you're talking. I hope he's all set.
If he's set, you'll know about it.
There's only one thing.
Yeah?
Tell Al if the deal's got any preachers in it, it's out.
I'll be right back.
Yes, did you want to see me?
Reverend Thomas?
That's right.
My name's Dixon. I'm a special agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Oh, yes. Sit down. Sit down. Mr. Dixon, you said?
Dixon, yes. Thanks.
Well, Mr. Dixon, I suppose you hear from a lot of old cranks like me.
No one's a crank, Reverend. No one that has something that might turn into a legitimate lead.
Well, as a matter of fact, Mr. Dixon, after thinking the whole thing over and losing no little sleep, I'm sorry that I phoned you.
I'm not, Reverend.
It comes down to this. Bugs Moran, or no Bugs Moran, the man approached me on what was a legitimate enterprise. I had no right to treat him so shabbily. He's probably making every effort to live a better life. And he should be encouraged, especially by a minister of the gospel.
This is Bugs Moran you're talking about?
Bugs Moran or any other man.
Reverend, we've been following Bugs Moran for weeks, since long before he approached you.
Well...
His oil lease business may be legitimate, but we think it's only a blind.
A, what, Mr. Dixon?
A blind. Camouflage for something else.
Oh.
I suppose you've read about the several bank robberies in southern Illinois and Missouri and Indiana in the last year.
Read about them. I preached a sermon on the subject. So, you think Moran is the bank robber?
We're watching him, Reverend.
Well...
We haven't been able to prove it yet, but we think we will.
Well, so long, Doc. I'll see you in Dayton. So long, Angie.
Toodaloo, Moran.
You want me to walk to the train with you?
What's the matter? Don't you think he can find the train himself?
You just drive on, Angie. Doc, get this car in shape. It sounds like it hasn't been greased in a year. So long.
Fond voyage.
Give my best to Al, huh?
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, get moving.
Where to? One of your oil wells?
Angie, so help me, someday I'm going to twist your nose around to your ear. And lay off Moran, will you? We've been doing okay with him.
You mean he's been doing okay with us? That has been.
Angie.
Bugs Moran, who needs him?
We got him. That's all there is to it. Now shut up about it.
Doc?
Yeah?
What's this Dayton cable?
Watch it. You got a red light there.
Okay, I see it. I'm not blind. I ask you a question.
What question?
What gives in Dayton? What did Al come up with?
Ask Moran.
Oh, Doc, I swear I'm going to claw
Okay, go ahead. The light's green.
Oh,
We're pulling out for Dayton tonight. You throw your duds in a bag and be ready to go.
But, Doc, I don't
You
want
heard
to
me.
go to...
We're driving to Dayton. I don't want to hear no more about Moran or oil wells or anything. Just drive.
Special Agent Haynes.
Mr. Haynes, Special Agent Dixon's on long distance from Vandalia, Illinois.
Oh, good. Put him on.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Haynes?
What's up, Dixon?
Moran bought a ticket to Dayton, and he's on the train now. I sent Greer along to keep him company.
Okay. We'll take over on this end when the train gets in. What's in Dayton?
I haven't any idea, but it must be a deal.
Oh?
It looks like he's coming alone to avoid suspicion. I think Doc Summers and the woman are getting ready to make the drive there. They're having the car serviced.
Are you going to stay with them?
I'll be right behind them wherever they head.
If it's Dayton, I'll see you.
Okay, Dixon. We'll be looking for you.
And keep your fingers crossed, Haynes. Before this is over, I think we'll have Moran where he'll never be able to squeeze his way out again.
So, Don, as the notorious Bugs Moran and his henchmen were about to pull a deal, as they termed it, in Dayton, Ohio, they were unaware that agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation were maintaining a constant surveillance of the mob, hoping to catch them in the act of committing a crime.
October 25th, 1947, Gangbusters on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number you need. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Gangbusters, October 25th, 1947, Bugs Moran.
Now, back to Gangbusters. You were telling us, Mr. Heck, how agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation suspected the deposed Chicago racketeer Bugs Moran as the leader of a gang of bank robbers.
That's right, Don. And Moran had been followed to Dayton, Ohio, in the hope of catching him and his Confederates in the act of committing a crime. Later, the criminal Doc Summers and the woman Angie arrived by car from Illinois and rang the bell at the house where Moran was staying.
Fine reception. Guess nobody's home.
Angie, I've been listening to you beef for 300 miles. Now keep it quiet, before I give you really something to beef about.
Ring the bell again, will you?
Hurry up.
Running all over the country like a bunch of bums.
Angie, I swear.
Here comes somebody.
Okay, then get a smile on your puss.
I'll smile when I want to.
Hello, Al.
Doc, come in. Did you have a good ride?
Yeah, considering.
I had a good ride, too.
That's nice. Moran's in the parlor, Doc. He wants to see you.
Yeah? Where, in here?
Yeah, this is it. Come on, Angie. I'll show you where you're bugged.
Well, maybe I got something to say to Moran, too.
If you have, you can say it later. Go on in with Al.
Now, listen.
Come on.
I'm coming. Don't push me around. I'm not your mother.
Hi, boss.
Hello, Doc.
Nice layout here, Moran.
It'll do. Sit down. Pour yourself a drink.
Thanks.
How is the trip?
Well, okay.
Angie?
She's getting to be a pain where it hurts.
Yeah, I heard her just now. But, like you say, Doc, sometimes she comes in handy.
Oh, you want to, boss?
No, I'll stick with this. But you gotta straighten her out, Doc. A dame around's okay with me until she gets to a point where she's liable to queer the caper.
Yeah, what about the caper? What's Al got set?
It's good for 10 grand.
Not bad. Another bank?
No. Tavern owner.
Hey, I quit heisting saloons years ago.
All right, now, wait a minute.
Besides, what saloon has 10 grand?
Will you listen? Okay. It's a pretty good deal.
Oh?
This tavern's right near the big Frigidaire plant. Every payday, the workers come in the joint to cash the checks. So every Friday, this tavern owner goes downtown to the bank and gets $10,000. No more, no less. $10,000.
Now it begins to sound like something.
Guy rides back alone from the bank. We nail him on the way.
Good enough.
Now, the thing we gotta do is know that bank inside out, the tavern, and the streets in between.
Sounds like a cinch.
Tell Angie to get ready.
But, Moran,
I know, but I want to show you that tavern and get a better look for myself. We'll take Angie along for the ride.
All the way to Dayton to knock over a tavern guy.
I'm warning you, Angie. You better shut up or you're going back home. And if I send you home, it'll be on your back. Now remember that.
She'll be all right, Moran.
Yeah, I'll be all right. Saloon bandits.
Okay, now that's enough. This sounds too easy, Moran. Somebody goes to the bank with him. They got to.
Al's been watching him 3 weeks. He goes alone.
Well, then he sure carries a gun. If he don't, he ought to.
What if he does? There'll be enough of us.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I heard enough out of you, Angie. Go on home.
That's a good idea. Why didn't I think of it?
Moran, she better stay.
And suppose I don't want to.
Go on, get out.
Well, good night. I think I'll pick up a guy. Maybe 2 guys.
Pick up whoever you like.
Those 2 over there ought to do me fine.
Hey, Angie, you go on home now.
Nighty-night. Hello, boys.
Hi.
You too. Hello.
Hello.
Got a cigarette?
Sure. Here, help yourself.
Thanks. It's just my brand. Match?
Yeah, sure.
Much obliged.
Don't mention it.
You wouldn't like to buy me a drink, would you?
We'd love to.
I like rye, straight rye.
But we're expecting our wife.
Oh,
Yeah, any minute.
some other time.
It's a date.
Well, I guess I'll toddle along home.
That's as good a place as any.
Thanks for the cigarette.
What do you think, Haynes? It was an accident. They didn't send her over. I don't care for that kind of accident. Maybe we're too close to him. Maybe. But we've got to take our chances. Come on, let's get out to the car.
Hey,
Hello, Angie.
get out of here. Nobody comes in my room, Moran, not without an invitation.
I got an invitation. My own.
What do you want?
Here,
What's that?
a bus ticket. Get packed and get out of here.
Now, wait a minute, Moran. Nobody's telling me where to go and when.
I'm telling you right now to get yourself out of here, and you better do it before I let you know why.
Why, you no good hoodlum.
I've had enough of your rotten tongue, Angie. Now get packed.
Doc will have something to say about this.
Doc's already had something to say. He went down and bought the bus ticket.
You rotten heat, I'll claw your eyes out. You can't stop me.
Now, get packed, or you get more. Only worse.
Nixon. Nice night, huh, Dixon? Beautiful. Girl got on a bus alone. A ticket at St. Louis. Okay, we'll have her picked up at Cincinnati. Yeah. That's the car, the Buick. You got a lot of nerve leaving a stolen car parked right in front of the house. Not so much. It hasn't even been reported stolen yet. Oh. The doctor it belongs to is in Chicago at a convention. Well, it's a cinch they don't want a hot car around too long. Maybe tomorrow's the day. A month's pay says it is. Yeah, I'd make the same bet. The lights are still on in the house. Moran makes his boys study late. Just walk on by. I hope we can stick with him tomorrow. We will. There's 4 extra men flying in from Cleveland. Good. We'll need them. I don't think Moran will give up so easily, even when he's through. Now we'll turn left at the next corner.
Make quick work of this job, boys. There's a lot of traffic out, more than we counted on.
It'll be okay, Moran. Don't worry. The only thing I wish is Angie was here to help me spend my part of that guy's 10 grand.
Oh, for the love of... Will you stop yapping about Angie?
Okay.
We'll take him at the red light. You ready, Al?
Yep. All set.
Doc?
Am I ready for 10 grand?
All right, boys. I'll be following you.
There's the light. He's stopping in a good place.
Right. Right back of it.
Go ahead, but take your time. Do it right.
Let's go, Doc.
Right with you. You get that side out.
Yeah.
I'll take over the wheel.
Hey.
Move over, bud. We'll take care of that package.
You let him slide over this way.
Okay. Only don't shoot.
Get your head down. All right.
Lower, or I'll knock it down.
Yeah, all right. Okay, you got the light.
Get his eyes tight.
No, please don't. Don't tell us what to do. Now you'll shut up.
Tape him up good, pal. The less he sees, the better.
Special Agent Haynes.
This is Dixon. We got a bad break, Haynes. We lost Moran in traffic.
No.
It couldn't be helped. And they may be pulling the job right now.
No reports have come in yet.
Well, look, Haynes, get out an alarm on that stolen Buick. At least we'll have that to hang on him, if nothing else.
All right. I'll put it on the teletype right away.
Go ahead. Walk. Faster.
I can't see.
That's the idea of the tape, so you can't see.
Go ahead.
All right.
How much farther?
Walk, I said.
Get up. Get up, or I'll kick you so you really feel it.
That's far enough. Leave him lay there.
That's the boss.
Yeah. Take him to that tree. But good.
Okay.
Everything go all right?
On schedule, boss. On schedule.
Where's the score?
Right here. I ain't had time to count it, but it feels like 10 grand if anything ever felt like 10 grand.
Well, let's get moving.
Hey, you set? Just about. Oh, come on, let's go.
You take the wheel, then.
Yeah.
And the conclusion of Gangbusters, October 25th, 1947, follows these messages here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Gangbusters, Bugs Moran, October 25th, 1947.
Boy, we got any more like this, Moran?
A few. Just a few. Come on, let's go.
Okay, I'm coming.
All right, get in.
Well, Moran, where to?
Back to the joint.
But, boss, we ought to move.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of hanging around like a couple of ducks for them to shoot at.
Listen to Papa, will you? He knows best.
Hey, Doc. Doc, wake up.
Huh?
Somebody's tapping on the window. See?
Holy... It's Angie. Well, I'll be...
Get rid of that, Doc.
Yeah, okay. Angie, what?
Go over and open the door, Doc.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
I know it. If it wasn't, would I be banging on the window?
Why ain't you in St. Louis?
I'm not, that's all. Open the door.
Oh, Moran knew you were here. He'd cut my head off.
Open the door.
Okay, but be quiet, will you?
Get rid of that, Doc. It ran of a plane.
Yeah, okay. It ain't one thing with her, it's another. Never anybody... Oh, well. Now, look here, Angie. What's the idea
FBI, don't move.
FBI?
Just keep still and you'll be all right.
Listen, guys.
Where's Moran sleeping?
In there.
And Al?
There, but he's not sleeping.
You, take Al. But watch him.
Okay.
You hold this one here. Come on, Haynes.
Right.
Okay. All right. Open the door. Easy. Come on. The light. Yeah. Okay. Let's wake him. All right, Moran. Sit up.
Hey, what's the idea?
I said sit up.
Hey, now, wait a minute. You...
FBI, Moran. Here's your pants. Get them on.
You guys got no right coming in here and hearing me. I got a right to my privacy.
This isn't 20 years ago, Moran. Get those pants on or we'll take you in without them.
So, Don, after nearly 25 years, the notorious Bugs Moran, once one of the most feared gangsters in the country, was finally convicted as a common bandit. Moran and his accomplices, Virgil Doc Summers and Al Fouts, were all given maximum terms of 25 years, which they are now serving in Ohio State Penitentiary.
Well, thank you, Matthias H. Heck, prosecuting attorney, Dayton, Ohio, for giving us the inside facts into the amazing case history of George Bugs Moran. And Gangbusters, congratulations to all the agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Dayton, Ohio detectives who participated in the investigation and prosecution of this notorious criminal. Now, a special Gangbusters presentation.
Late Thursday night.
a murderer was led down a dimly lit corridor in the Cook County Jail at Chicago. This murderer had a message to leave behind him, and a special Gangbusters crew went into his cell to record that message. Here it is.
My name is Ernest Gaither Jr. I am here in the Cook County Jail with only 29 hours to live before I go to the electric chair. I was a stick-up man. That's what I was at the age of 16. I was a boss of a gang. I thought I was a big shot to $3,000 in my pocket at all times. But it was a great mistake I made for thinking that. You are not tough when you put a gun in a man's face and take what he has worked hard for. It don't take guts to do that. Any fool can put a gun in his hand and do wrong, but it takes a man with guts to get a job and work for what he wants. I am just so sorry that I couldn't see it this way until it was too late. Although my life will be taken from me, but my soul is going to rest with God in heaven. That will be my next home. And I am so happy that I am ready to go.
A few hours after he made that statement, Ernest Gaither Jr. paid the supreme penalty of the law.
October 25th, 1947, Gangbusters on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 9 of the 9-part yours truly, Johnny Dollar story, The Phantom Chase Matter. This episode from October 25th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
It's Lola Chase, Johnny.
Hang up, Dollar.
Johnny, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but right now I can think of a lot of places I'd rather be.
I said hang up. Johnny, there's someone there with you.
Look, Dollar.
Is it Tom? It is Tom, isn't it? I'm coming over.
No, don't do it.
I'm coming over.
Stay away, Lola. He has a gun and he means business.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Barbados, British West Indies, to the Home Office, Universal Adjustment Bureau, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Phantom Chase Matter. Expense account continued. Item 28. Well, along about then, I figured this item would be around $200, burial expenses for me. Tom Chase was desperate, tired of running, and ready to take me off his trail for keeps. But Lola Chase's phone call to me seemed to have a strange effect on him.
That was my wife, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Lola.
Why'd you drag her into this, Dollar?
I didn't, Chase. She insisted on coming here to Barbados herself.
Why couldn't she stay out of it?
I suppose because she's your wife.
That's all over.
Yeah, I figured that when I found out it was a woman who arranged your hideout in New Orleans.
That's all over, too.
Turned sour, huh?
Real sour. There's nothing left for me.
Wait a minute. Look, Chase. There's only one thing for you to do. Turn yourself in. Turn over what's left of the money,
It's
and you'll
too
be...
late for that, Dollar. There's only one thing left.
Wait a minute. Killing me's not going to do any good, Chase. Somebody else will take over and keep after you until they get you. And they will get you sooner or later. You can count on it.
I know. They'll keep coming after me. I can't run anymore, Dollar. I won't take it anymore from you or anybody. I just won't take it. Oh.
I never thought I'd be glad to get hit on the head. But just before I blacked out, I remember being very happy that it wasn't the bullet in the back I'd been expecting. I don't know how long I was out, but when I came to, Lola Chase and George Everson were bending over me.
Are you all right, Johnny?
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, brother, my head feels like it was on a pogo stick.
What happened, Mr. Dollar?
Chase was waiting for me here in my hotel room with a gun.
Why did he come here?
For a very good reason. To take me off his trail for keeps.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. But when you phoned, Lola, It seemed to tie him up in knots to learn that you were here in Barbados. He started talking wildly.
Mr. Dollar, Lola and I'd still like to try the plan I mentioned to you earlier.
Oh, look, Mr.
No,
Everson.
now, hear me out. If we could just
You'd
talk
be
to Tom.
wasting your breath, Everson. Tom Chase is not about to turn himself in now or ever. I still don't get it, though.
Get what?
Why he didn't kill me just now. And why he didn't kill me before in the waterfront warehouse or on Lagos Island. He had plenty of chances. It's almost as if...
Yes?
Skip it. Everson, suppose you take Lola back to her hotel. I'm going to check with Police Inspector Whitsett.
From what you tell me, Mr. Dollar, I'd say Chase was just about at the breaking point.
Yeah. That's why we've got to track him down fast before he loses his head completely.
Well, we're continuing our check of hotels and rooming houses. I don't think there's anything else we can do for the moment. Excuse me. What's that here? Yes, just a moment. For you, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, thanks. Hello?
It's Lola, Johnny. He was just here.
Chase, where?
Here at my hotel cottage. Please come quickly, Johnny.
I'll be there in 10 minutes. I made it in 8. Lola was still trembling.
It was horrible. He was talking wild, crazy.
You see which way he went?
Yes. I got to the window in time to see him drive off toward the mountain. Johnny, we've got to find him. He's out of his mind.
We piled into the car and took off after Chase up a twisting, steep mountain road. Tell me what happened, Lola. What'd he say?
I've never seen him like that before, Johnny. He's sick. The things he said.
Like what?
That it was all over. There was nothing left for him. That he just wanted to see me once more before...
Before what?
He didn't say, but... Oh, hurry, Johnny.
We can't take these turns any faster.
I begged him to turn himself in. He said he wished he could, for my sake. But that he couldn't.
Look, Lola, maybe he just took this route to cross the island.
The way he was talking, Johnny, I don't think he was trying to get across the island.
Wait a minute, hold it. Look, up ahead.
That's the car he was driving.
Parked beside the road.
Next to a cliff, Johnny.
Yeah. All right, Lola. You'd better stay right here in the car.
Yes, I guess I'd rather.
I walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down. His body was crumbled up on the rocks below. I climbed down. He was dead, all smashed up. It wasn't pretty. I climbed back to my car. Lola just looked at me with the big question in her eyes. All I did was nod. All she did was slump over on the seat. I drove her back to her hotel and phoned Inspector Whitsett. Then I went back to my hotel. Expense account item 29, $3, drinks for me. I thought about a lot of things. About Tom Chase, who'd had everything in his favor back in New York, but who'd embezzled $120,000. Had killed a man in New Orleans for trying to turn him in, but who hadn't killed me for trying the same thing, and who ended up at the bottom of a cliff in Barbados. I thought about Lola, who'd come a long way for nothing, except the final heartache. And I thought about me, who'd also come a long way for nothing, period. The next day, I dropped in on Inspector Whitsett at police headquarters.
Well, Dollar, I've missed you.
I sort of took time out for a while, Inspector.
I don't wonder. Well, Mrs. Chase, of course, identified the body. The inquest was this morning. Verdict suicide. Burials this afternoon.
Here in Barbados?
At first, Mrs. Chase wanted to take the body back to New York, but Mr. Everson felt that that would just be adding another painful experience to those she'd already been through.
Oh, yeah. Well, I still don't have the money Chase embezzled, Inspector.
No, and offhand, I'd say your chances of finding it were not too good.
Did you find anything at all in Chase's pockets that might give me a lead?
Oh, just the usual. Loose change, his wallet, cigarettes, some matches, a comb.
Book matches?
Yeah. From a waterfront bar.
Well, let me see him, Inspector. It's not much, but it's the only thing I've got to go on. I went down to the waterfront bar named on the match folder and started combing the neighborhood. I checked every hotel and rooming house. 3 hours later, I was about ready to give up. And then I found it. Yep. Chase's last hideout. I searched his room, but the money wasn't there. I went back to the desk and checked the register again, trying to find out if a woman had checked in about the same time Chase had. No soap. But then I pulled out the sample of Chase's writing that Everson had given me in New York, and I compared it to Chase's signature on the register. A few wild ideas started chasing themselves around in my brain, ideas that began to fall into a crazy pattern. Item 30-1260, long-distance phone call to the home office of Universal Adjustment in Hartford. I asked Pat McCracken to run an errand for me. 3 hours later, he called back from New York City with the answer. Yep. I'd come all the way to Barbados, but the case got solved in New York. I phoned Lola and Everson and asked them to come to the cemetery. 15 minutes later, we met at the freshly turned grave.
Mr. Dollar, I must say you're not being considerate of Lola. I'm sure you realize that coming back to Tom's grave here is a most painful experience for her.
I'm sure you had a good reason, Johnny.
Yeah, I did. I wanted both of you to know what a jerk I've been in this investigation.
Oh, don't say that. You've done everything that could be done, and I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Lola. But you see, for almost 2 weeks now, from New York to New Orleans to Barbados here, I've been chasing a dead man.
What?
I don't understand.
I think you understand real well.
Now, look here. If this is some kind of a joke, it's in very poor taste.
It's no joke. I've got to hand it to you both, though. You engineered the whole deal with just 2 people.
What are you talking about?
Drop the act, Lola. The faithful, grieving wife. You had me fooled but good.
Look, Dollar.
You told me you took a trip alone about the time Tom was arrested, Lola. Well, that was true. But it wasn't to Martha's Vineyard. You went down to New Orleans and rented a room under the name of Tom James. You were the other woman I was looking for.
That's a lie.
You don't know what you're saying, Dollar.
Don't I? Freddie Quintana in New Orleans showed me a letter Chase was supposed to have written. It matched the sample of Chase's writing you'd given me in New York, Everson.
Well, of course it did. That proves it.
It proves that the sample you gave me in New York wasn't Chase's writing. I just checked by long-distance phone.
You what?
Oh, yes. Freddie Quintana played his part real well. But what he didn't know was he was going to get paid off with a bullet. That was the day you turned up in New Orleans, Lola. To kill him and shut his mouth.
Dollar.
Let him finish, George.
Oh, there's not much more. You hired the second guy to pose as your husband and lead me a merry chase. That explains why he didn't kill me and why I was always able to pick up his trail again. I was supposed to. That's the way you were playing it. And all the time, the real Tom Chase was dead. You probably killed him back in New York when he was supposed to have jumped bail and disappeared.
Are you through, Dollar?
Almost. Except for the money. You are the embezzler, Everson. It was you who juggled the accounts. And after I ran into a dead end down here with a fake Chase's death, you and Lola could live happily ever afterward with the dough.
Go on.
Of course, the fellow you hired to pose as Chase didn't realize he was going to get paid off the same way Quintana was.
What are you talking about?
The way you helped him over that cliff, Everson, to make it look like suicide.
How did you know?
I probably wouldn't have tumbled to it if I hadn't checked his handwriting.
Of course, you can't prove any of this.
Like to exhume the body, ship it back to New York, and prove that it isn't the real Tom Chase?
The body stays where it is, Dollar.
Oh, put that gun down, Everson. They already know most of the story in New York.
You're bluffing.
Then why don't you call the bluff and find out?
I think he's telling the truth, George.
In that case...
Yes. We'd better take care of him.
Not we, Lola. Not anymore.
What do you mean?
I think we'd better just dissolve the partnership.
Don't try anything like that, George. This was our idea together, and you're in it as deep as I am.
And that's why I'm leaving, Lola. I wish it had worked out. But as long as it didn't...
You can't do that. You've got the money.
Exactly.
I won't let you.
Get back, Lola. We both went for Everson at the same moment. The shot spun her around and crumpled her. I grabbed the gun from Everson. I'm afraid it's not serious, Lola. If his aim had been better, he'd have done you a favor. One thing I still don't get. Your husband wouldn't make any statement after his arrest. That means to me he knew what you were up to. And he loved you so much he was willing to take the rap. Tell me this, Lola. Why did you marry the poor guy in the first place? Expense account total, $1,723. Lola and Everson were turned over to the authorities, and Everson gave up the key to a safe deposit box in New York, where the embezzled money had been all the time. It also showed us the deserted spot on Long Island where he and Lola had hidden the body of the real Tom Chase. Remarks, Dear Pat, next time you call me for an assignment like this one, I hope you get a busy signal. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, now, here's our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, a body suddenly rises from the grave to take the spotlight from a Hollywood star. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in our cast were Michael Ann Barrett, Jack Edwards, Ben Wright, Virginia Gregg, Don Diamond, Forrest Lewis, and Richard Crenna. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
There would be one more week of 15-minute episodes of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. And we don't have those, and quite frankly, I can't run that set. Before classic radio theater's quarter hours of yours truly, Johnny Dollar would just disappear. It'd go back to being a weekly 25-minute program. And we will not be able to bring that to you because on October 30th, we will preempt all of our regular shows to bring you a full presentation not only of the War of the Worlds, but will also bring you a rare meeting. H.G. Wells, the author of the War of the Worlds, meets Orson Welles. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. But right now, you can visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn about classic radio collecting. Contact me there. Buy me a copy if you want to support us in finding additional classic programs to bring you here. Thanks for tuning in. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. Tell your friends that great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.